Heyo everybody, Haku here with my read-through for Magical Girl Raising Project or Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku Limited Chapter 11, What Are Friends For? The first part of it at least. So the way this is going to work, because Chapter 11 is actually really long, but I kind of thought about splitting it into 3 videos, but I'm still going to do 2. It's just this one might be a little bit longer than they have been lately. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to just record it in 2 parts and edit the 2 parts together. I'm going to record for a bit right now, and then I'll just have a jump cut and then finish reading later, but it's all going to be in one video here, and I'm going to try to get to pages like 20 to 24 in this video, which means that the one for next week, for the second half of this, is still going to be another 14 to 18 pages, so each video is probably going to be 45 minutes to an hour long. So yeah, gonna have 2 long ones these next 2 weeks, and then we have the last chapter, then I'll do my updated favorite characters video, then my reaction to the character. I really need to get on to asking Plaid or somebody for the character designs for next arc. So yeah, then I'll do my character design reaction for next arc, and then start reading next arc week to week like we're doing for this. So yeah, we're just about done with this and just about into next arc. I think we'll get to next arc probably sometime in October. It's probably not going to take until November. So yeah, we're really close. Either way, we have Chapter 11, What Are Friends For? Starting with, oh yeah, last time, a little bit of recap of where we're at. Nobody really died. Ripple is still out there somewhere, stabbed a bunch, but I'm pretty sure she's still alive. I mean, I don't fear for Ripple that much unless we're like really seeing a big death, you know. Ripple, I think, could die, but if Ripple does, it's going to be a big death with kind of a lot done for it. So Ripple's probably still alive there somewhere. We got Pithy running around doing whatever she's doing. She ran into Pukin and had to run away from her because Pukin's pissed off and has her face all messed up still. Then we didn't, in the last read-through, get back to Mana and Nanako, did we? I'm not sure, but they are still together, and Nanako has got the information that Malpam is dead. So those two are together still. Ripple is out somewhere, Pithy and Pukin are out separately, and Kurukuru Hime, Kurukuru Hime I think is still alone. I think Tepsukeme she's alone, and Tepsukeme just met up with Wedden and Funny Trick, and that just leaves Rainbow and Posteri is still trying to be loyal to her friend and trying to figure out what's going on, because it's obviously probably confusing if you've had a friend that's been nice to you all this time and all of a sudden she's a murderer. So Posteri is probably still trying to work through that, and I think the chapter What Are Friends For, the title, probably refers to that a bit, and it's either going to be more of Posteri trying to save or trying to help Rainbow, or it's going to be Posteri dying for Rainbow, and she's died for a friend that was going to throw her away anyway. So it's probably going to be a little bit of tragedy. We only had 2 chapters left in this. But we're starting with Tepsukeme, remaining time, 7 hours, 15 minutes. Who are the enemies and who are the allies? Tepsukeme didn't know. Wedden and Kurukuru Hime and Rainbow and Posteri and Captain Grace and Funny Trick and Toko should be allies, but Wedden then joined up with people who were supposed to be enemies. But Wedden then ran away from the people who should be enemies. Tepsukeme didn't know what was happening. Other magical girls aside from Tepsukeme would probably know. She could ask them and confirm why Wedden was together with the enemy. But they didn't give a clear answer either. She understood that she was asking a difficult question. For now, let's join up with someone. Tepsukeme scouted in the sky so she could join up with someone, but Tepsukeme still didn't know who was friend and who was foe. They wanted to join up, but who would be okay to join up with? Funny Trick and Wedden always showed different faces. When she asked why they showed their faces, they told her, "People are like this when they're worried." She didn't know what being worried meant. Everything was just difficult, and she hated it. Sonia, Pukin, Frederica, Top Pop, only those 4 are enemies no matter what. Rabbit Ears and Ninja. Frederica's group said they were with the investigation team, right? They probably don't think too highly of us, but we might be able to work together. No, we should try and cooperate. Toko? She's out. Frederica's group told me that we were being deceived. But you believe what they're saying? Yeah, I do. But at that time, I was being controlled and Funny Trick was captured. To say that they'd be lying, I don't think it's impossible, but it's very unlikely. I'd rather not assume that the unlikely possibilities happened and just focus on what seems plausible. So, we only have Kurukuru Hime, Rainbow, and Posteri, right? Toko's partner. Do you think they're mixed in with us, or do you think maybe they're somewhere else? I'm not sure. Tepsukeme began listening to their explanation. Rabbit Ears and the Ninja were friends. Rabbit Ears and the Ninja were friends. They were enemies, but for now they're friends. The magical girl that killed Captain Grace and her 3 other friends were all enemies. Wedden did become friendly with them, but for now they're enemies. Toko was an enemy. Posteri and Rainbow and Kurukuru Hime were complicated, but for now they're allies. She didn't know what the word complicated means, but if she asked, she wouldn't get a simple answer either. As for anyone else, she had to judge based on whether they had friends or enemies with them. Who are the enemies? The magical girl that killed Captain Grace and her 3 friends, Toko. And her 3 friends, Toko. And our allies? The Rabbit and Ninja, Rainbow. The Rabbit and Ninja, Rainbow, Posteri, and Kurukuru Hime are complicated. Do you know which magical girl Posteri is? The one that moves ribbons? Wedden and Funny Trick let out a long, deep sigh. Oh, God. Finally, it ended up becoming, if you see a magical girl, remember their place and features and go back to Wedden and Funny Trick's mountain. Be careful not to touch the barrier. She thought she'd become more free if she became human. She thought she'd become more free if she became a magical girl, something stronger than a human. In reality, she felt inconvenienced. She had to rescue her friends. She had to follow the leader's orders. Her enemies were strong too. None of them would run away if she just bit them. The black-winged magical girl she fought in the sky was strong. She had frozen Tepsukeme. If she kept on fighting like that, would she have been killed? The magical girl that killed Captain Grace was strong. If she wasn't Tepsukeme, she would have died. Or if she wasn't Tepsukeme, she would have died. However, even if she was Tepsukeme, another hit would have killed her. She decided not to fight those 2 a second time. Even if Wedden got angry and told her to, she wouldn't fight them ever again. If she had to fight, she'd just carry Wedden away. Tepsukeme made her body thin, and by doing this, her appearance will also be thin as well. Flying in the sky will make it hard for the enemy to find her. If she became too thin, she'll be blown away by the wind. But while she's up in the sky, she could observe what's going on below. A lot of commotion has happened in a variety of places. People were gathered, cars had gathered, she saw talking, she saw people listening. Some people moved and some didn't move. There were no magical girls. Where were the magical girls? Tepsukeme flew towards the school. On the way, there was a rounded circle dug up on the street. There was an especially large gathering of people. The whole was surrounded by a rope. There were no magical girls. Atop a building, atop a steel tower, atop a rooftop, and from the sky, she flew while looking down everywhere. She didn't find anything important, and her eyes were just tired. There was no one on the roof of the school either. There were people running on the track field. There were no magical girls. Tepsukeme landed on the roof, leaning against the wall, and sat down. She rubbed the middle of her eyes with her finger gently. She was tired from using her eyes all the time. Flying around aimlessly and sitting around aimlessly, nothing will change. While sitting around, Tepsukeme looked at the clouds. The gray clouds were the same as yesterday. They were thick, and you couldn't see what's above them. The sun was hidden, so it was cold. Will the clouds be blown away by the wind? She wondered as she looked at them. But there was something other than the clouds that was flying. It was like a bird, but it wasn't a bird. It was a small thing. It was moving its wings and flying, but it wasn't a bird. She kept staring at it as it looked like it was flying this way. This was much more interesting than the clouds. Tepsukeme continued observing the flying object. Was it really coming this way? She had noticed. Gradually the flying object appeared clearly. A lamp with bird-like wings on it was flying. It was familiar. It was the lamp that Captain Grace gave her. Speaking of, when exactly did she lose it again? She didn't know how that lamp would be useful, since she was relaxed whenever she went inside of it. She thought that's what it was for. The flying lamp that was steadily closing its distance fell with a thump onto the palms of Tepsukeme. Its wings disappeared as it melted in the air. She poked the lamp in her palm. She sniffed it. No mistake, it was the lamp. Tepsukeme's smell had remained. So, it came back to the school. She saw 2 magical girls coming over the iron fence. Tepsukeme confirmed that they weren't enemies. Oh, I'm worried now. Oh god, I'm worried that they're just gonna kill Mei now. However, the names of those 2 were blurry and vague, so she couldn't remember. She only just separated from Funny Trick and Wedden too. Was one of them Rainbow and the other one was Kurukuru Hime? Do you know where the other girls are? A fairy popped out of the magical girl's chest. She didn't forget this one. It was Toko. Toko was an enemy. Toko is an enemy. Tepsukeme spoke what she was thinking out loud, because if she were wrong, someone would correct her. If she didn't understand, someone would teach her. Doing it now was also the right thing to do. The 2 magical girls reacted to what Tepsukeme was saying. Because of that, Tepsukeme knew that what she said wasn't wrong. A rainbow from the front and back sliced Tepsukeme's body in half. Tepsukeme tried to blow her enemy away past the iron fence with a gust of wind. Tepsukeme threw away her lower body, and her upper body flew into the sky, and once more shot out a gust of wind to the 2 in Toko. The flashy-looking magical girl held her body down and endured the wind. The plain-looking magical girl couldn't endure it and was blown away. Just before the plain magical girl was about to go over the rooftop fence, the flashy magical girl extended her hand. She grabbed her friend's arm with her right hand and held the iron fence with her left. However, because of the sudden movements, Toko's small body rolled and fell from the magical girl's chest. Tepsukeme concentrated her gust of wind toward Toko, blowing her away until she couldn't see her small body. While the 2 magical girls were screaming and shouting, Tepsukeme left the 2 behind as she rose higher and higher. Great, now just run back to Wedden and Funny Tricks Mountain and tell them, oh no, Postery and Rainbow are enemies now. Okay, so now we have, Postery almost an hour later. Postery with 6 hours and 35 minutes remaining. Let me get a sip of water really quick, so I don't lose my voice since I am going to be recording a bit. Because I'm going to take a break and record this in 2 parts, but I'll probably record both parts today. So yeah, Postery, 6 hours, 35 minutes remaining. Finding Toko, who had been blown away, required a lot of effort. This is because Toko couldn't return on her own. She was stuck on the branches of a cherry tree planted on the corner of the school as a graduation memorial, screaming out in anger. In order to not be found by the club students, Postery detransformed. She transformed at the same time as she climbed up the tree, and detransformed when she jumped down the tree. She checked her surroundings. No one was paying attention to Tatsuko. They were all concentrated on running. She sighed in relief. Toko and Rainbow met on the rooftop. Okay. Toko, your reckless acts as a rogue are known now. Huh? Why are you looking at me like it's my fault all of a sudden? Because it is your fault, isn't it? Now that people know you're a rogue, they're going to be on guard. You're a rogue too, Rainbow. Wait, what? Okay. Okay, sorry, I got that backwards. It was Rainbow yelling at Toko. Okay, you're a rogue too, Rainbow. Well, I never leaked out my acts. Why is it my fault anyway? Because it was your fault, Toko. Damn it, now we can't meet up with the others anymore. I love the way the 2 of them argue and get angry with everyone, though. I will say, like, they're villains and evil and all that, but at the same time, they're actually very entertaining. Like, not like Swim, where every time she was quote-unquote on screen, every time we had a Swim scene, I was like, oh, get her out of here. With them, they're evil and villains, but they're also entertaining. They're also really fun to read. They push responsibility on each other, and even though they seemed to be arguing, those 2 weren't really mad at each other. Looking from the sidelines, she could understand it. Their expressions and the way they spoke to each other didn't leave the realm of joking. They were clearly having fun. Was this friendship? Toko and Rainbow were both friends, but how did they think of Postery? She did say that she was her friend. However, Rainbow didn't want to think if those words were real or not. Tatsuko Sakaki never had any classmates that considered her necessary until now. From kindergarten, elementary, middle school, Tatsuko had always been alone. When she went on school trips, she always ate the rice balls her mother made alone. When deciding groups for the school trip, since everyone already chosen their groups, she was always given to the groups that didn't have enough members. That was obvious because she thought spending time alone would be so much easier. Being alone was a basic thing. Being around others required practice. Being careful not to be isolated, following up others' laughter, and watching popular TV shows that she didn't want to see just to keep up with conversations were all annoying. As long as no one bothered her, it wasn't a problem for Tatsuko. As long as nothing led to bullying, it was fine. As long as people only smiled at her and said, "She's always alone, isn't she? She can endure it." One thing that is a little bit confusing for me this arc, though, is sometimes I get confused and it feels like Posteri's personal story and backstory and stuff blends together a lot with Weddin's and a lot with Funny Tricks, because the three of them are all really similar. Whereas, say, like in Restart or in Unmarked, all the characters were really distinct, and there was clear differences between each one. There were a lot of similar, and I guess because like 7 of the characters are middle school girls or 6 of them, 5 technically. Sorry, I had to discount Kurihime, then discount Mei, but like 5 of them are middle schoolers from the same school and all. But a lot of characters feel like they're very similar in this arc. But yeah, so I always get them kind of confused. And even then, with the ones where we don't know the backstory too deeply and it's just their personalities, there are a lot of very similar personalities between like Hana, nanako-san, Weddin, Posteri, and Funny Trick. There are definitely differences between all 5 of them. But I'm just saying that, like, getting more into Posteri's backstory reminds me of sometimes with this arc I get a little bit confused because some of the characters can be kind of similar at times. But either way, after becoming friends with Cowdy, she concluded that friends were annoying after all. Talking, laughing, playing, acting together. It was more annoying than being alone, but it was a lot of fun. Friendship is a curse. Tatsuko didn't want to be abandoned by Cowdy, even though having no friends was normal. Now it became normal for her to have a friend. Normally greeting each other, normally eating lunch together, normally inviting her to her house after school. Without Cowdy, none of those all of those normal things would be gone. Rainbow was also spinning Toko's lie. They told Posteri that they wouldn't kill her because they'd use her as a hostage. It's not what you'd say to a friend. Yet, Posteri saved Rainbow. She probably knew slightly that the ninja was on the side of justice. She thought that Rainbow and Toko were probably the real evil witches too. But Posteri saved Rainbow. Her body moved when she saw the ninja trying to kill Rainbow. She didn't want Rainbow to die. As a result, Posteri killed the ninja. She just killed a person. She didn't even feel shock when she had done the kill itself. The fact that she had done something bad, the fact that she was just as bad as Rainbow and Toko, made her a little happy. The fact that she felt joy was what shocked her. Posteri was dependent. Saying that Posteri was just being used for a hostage was just a cover-up back there. Just something she said to keep her out from being the ninja's attack target. She was dependent on Rainbow so much that she deceived herself with those unlikely imaginations. She wanted to at least think that her choice was wrong. Rainbow and Posteri were still arguing about whose fault it is. Posteri strongly wanted to become their friend as well. She wished, and she smiled. Now I'm seeing more of why I've seen so many people throughout this arc commenting saying that they hate Posteri. Posteri is, basically giving up everything to choose to become evil just because she wants to be friends with the evil people. So that's not good. But one thing I was thinking while reading this to discuss before we get into the next scene is that Posteri and her character, backstory, all that, Posteri is a very, very similar character, and I said it when I was judging at the very beginning and trying to guess which characters from this arc were going to be like which characters from past arcs, and which kind of role they were going to play. And Posteri really felt like and seems like a very Snow White and a very Pechka kind of character. And what's different here is that their past and personalities with her and Snow White and Pechka are similar, but she's taken that personality, and instead of Snow White never giving up and staying true to her ideals and not killing people through the tests that she went through, or Pechka's not giving up and staying true to her ideals and sacrificing herself to she sacrificed herself to save Clantail, if I remember correctly, and to try to take down Melville. But basically her she was saving Clantail, right? Not Lazaline? Pretty sure she was saving Clantail. But Lazaline just showed up there, like, as it was happening, and that's what set her off going after, Melville. But either way. So, instead of staying true to her ideals like those two, she's kind of being like, well, you know what? I can kill a person if it makes me have friends. So she's kind of like, if those two had just turned to the dark side and had been more loose with their morals and what they thought of as good or evil. So Postery's kind of like those two if they took the wrong turn, which is interesting. But it also makes her kind of a dick character. Let me get some water before we get to this Nanako-san scene. So, now we have Nanako-san about 20 minutes later. Nanako-san remaining time 6 hours and 17 minutes. Let me check this recording. Hold on, what'd that say? Okay, we're all good. Nanako-san 6 hours 17 minutes remaining. I know everyone has beliefs and principles that can't be bent, but now's the time you have to bend them. Mana had told her that. It was a claim made by someone who's abandoned both their ideals and their principles. They weren't wrong as well. This is an order from your team leader. No matter who we find, you have to use your goggles on them. Understood. Don't be discouraged just because we've seen them before. Don't know if the situation's changed or not. There are people out there who have good intentions but would do the unthinkable for it. No exceptions. Okay, not even me. What? But don't trust me just because I'm me. Don't forget, there are people who have powers that can influence minds. Besides, no one's going to look up anyone who gets stabbed in the back. Yes, understood. Or look up to anyone who gets stabbed in the back. Yes, understood. Nanako-san couldn't use the goggles on herself. That means nobody could accuse Nanako-san of reporting lies. Knowing that, Mana ordered Nanako-san to use your goggles on everyone with no exceptions. That was equal to Mana being willing to commit double suicide with Nanako-san. That meant that Mana didn't think that Nanako-san would betray her, so this was the easiest thing for her to do. Mana met the intrusion of outsiders like Nanako-san's group with antipathy, anger, showing sarcasm, grabbing her collar, demonizing them, anger, shouting. Yet now, she trusted in Nanako-san. If Mana's reason for that is because Hana told Nanako-san about her relationship with Mana, that was as good as Nanako-san deceiving Mana. Okay? That was information from her boss, and she acted according to those orders. That was all. Hana hadn't trusted Nanako-san with Mana's personal relationships at all. In contrast to Nanako-san's sinking feelings, Mana was moving smoothly. Hana was killed by Pukin, and, since Nanako-san stopped her from instantly avenging her, Mana was able to restrain herself. If Nanako-san betrayed her now, no matter how much she struggled, they'd separate and be as good as defeated. She trusted Nanako-san, and she was going to use her to her full strength. It was big for her that Hana, who had died in battle, had trusted Nanako-san. As she thought, Nanako-san's heart sunk even further. Mana wasn't a magical girl. She hasn't slept at all, and although there's no way she wouldn't get fatigued, she didn't look like she was tired. Even if when she gave orders to Nanako-san, there was willpower in her, or even when she gave orders, there was willpower in her voice, and she didn't see any hesitation. Nanako-san thought that she would rather not be trusted. While she wouldn't actively betray her, she was already passively betraying her. Nanako-san had been receiving instructions from her boss, and she's been hiding that. She even hid the fact that Malpam died, and didn't say how her death was the trigger for the Foreign Affairs Division going berserk. She didn't tell how they might launch a weapon of mass destruction to the city. She'd been keeping Mana, her team leader, out of the loop. She wanted to speak, she wanted to tell. However, since her boss's orders were don't speak and don't tell, nothing changed. No matter how Nanako-san persuaded, her boss wouldn't listen. The belief that she was acting because she thought she were right. Both her boss and Mana acted that way and didn't change. As she reached this period, she wondered just what she was trying to protect. When they met up with Kurukuru-hime on top of the radio tower, Nanako-san didn't need to use her goggles to tell that Kurukuru-hime was gravely tired. She knew that something happened. Nanako-san couldn't think of the right words to say. Kurukuru-hime offered her smartphone. There was a call. They told me to call them back. A call who? The students? Kurihime silently shook her head as Nanako-san pressed her further. She offered her smartphone once again. She confirmed her call history and contacted the number that called her just before. Was this the one that they should call back? They chose redial, and the other side answered before the first dial tone finished. Is this Kurihime? The voice was a girl's. Her voice was very young, yet the tone sounded mature. This was probably a magical girl who was an adult before she transformed. Even if she was a child before transforming, she's long had a career as a magical girl. This doesn't seem to be anyone within Kurihime's group. She looked towards Mana. Mana narrowed her eyes and listened carefully. Nanako-san hesitated a bit, then replied, "No, this is Nanako-san." "Nanako-san? A human resources magical girl." "Yes, I've currently been assigned to the investigation team." The voice knew about Nanako-san. She's never heard the voice before. She was able to contact Kurihime's smartphone. She couldn't think of anyone who could do this. "Who am I speaking to?" "My name is Pithy Frederica." Nanako-san pulled her face away from her smartphone, her eyes widening. The smartphone made by a famous brand now looked like an abhorrent object. Looking at Mana, she had a bitter expression on her face rising from the bottom of her heart, and closed one eye. Mana snatched the smartphone away from Nanako-san. "And what would you want, Frederica?" "Who is this?" "The investigation team leader, Mana." "Ah, squad leader Mana. That's wonderful." It didn't make sense why Kurihime would want to relieve herself of the smartphone if Frederica was involved. "Would you like to cooperate?" That voice was cheerfully out of place. "What do you mean, cooperate?" "Malpam is dead. I've confirmed Ripple's corpse for myself. I know what she looks like before she transforms, so there's no mistaking it." "Ripple? She's dead. What would she think about? How should she respond? She knew something like this would happen, but she didn't know what to think when it did." Nanako-san closed her eyes. "How is Gecko Kujo?" In a hurry, she opened her eyes and placed a hand on Mana's shoulder. It'd be bad if she got emotional and smashed the phone, she thought as she acted, but Mana merely breathed out a deep sigh. Hana was killed by Pukin. Even though she was listening closely to her, she understood that she was suppressing her voice's inflection a lot. Frederica's voice also toned down. I've also suffered enormous damages. Top Pop was killed by the assassin, the rainbow girl from the middle schools, wasn't it? She killed her. Sonia Beam was killed by Malpam. Pukin is safe, but we broke up after a fight. She's acting like a cat in heat dumped into freezing water, acting completely out of hand. She casually said all of these outrageous things. The assassin was a rainbow user from the middle school group. Was she leaking information in order to make her usefulness more appealing, or was she lying and trying to distract them? Perhaps she didn't even consider that to be unexpectedly important information. Mana also seemed to not show any look of upset. So, would you be willing to cooperate? Both of our groups came into the city with the intention of capturing the assassin. If we have the same goal, we should be able to cooperate, no? I won't object if she gets proper justice. If possible, I'd like her to be a living witness for corruption, but if not, we'll compromise. With a fair trial, if she deserves to be punished, then she'll be punished. And now we're having a illustration. Let's see what we got here. We got Kurihime, Mana, and Nanako-san on the phone. Look at them, they are so cute. Mana and her glasses, adorable. Kurihime, adorable. Okay, continuing on. You were rescued from prison by rebels. In other words, you were hired by them. Do you think you can make such a big decision on your own? Unfortunately, I'm on my own now. With HQ gone, it falls to the soldier to replace it. With your magical skill, you can easily contact people outside, can't you? That's exactly why I want to cooperate with you. Actually, this is quite embarrassing, but the crystal ball that I possess has been stolen by a magical girl known as Funny Trick. If possible, I'd like to have Kurihime ask her to return it, you see. The hand that she placed on Mana's shoulders trembled. This bastard killed a father and was now brazenly asking his daughter for a favor. With my magical skill, I didn't even really think of that. With my magical skill, I can get you all out of the city. Because of that, my crystal ball is important, so I'd like to cooperate. Mana told Frederica, I'll consult with the others before turning off the call. She was more composed than Nanako-san. Do you mind if I keep this for a while? Mana raised the smartphone diagonally and asked for permission from Kurukuru-hime. Kurukuru-hime nodded weakly. Nanako-san remembered that she had her hand on Mana's shoulder and hurriedly removed it. She placed more power into her hands, feet, and her lungs than was necessary. She breathed out all the air she had collected. Mana placed the smartphone in her bag, taking out a glass bottle in exchange. She held the bottle upside down and shook it. The pills inside the bottle fell on Mana's palms. Mana grabbed them and put them in her mouth. She chewed it and cracked it. Nanako-san didn't ask what kind of medicine they were. At that time, and I think probably Pithy's lying about Ripple. Again, I'm pretty sure Ripple isn't dead. Pretty sure. At that time, the smartphone's ringtone rang. Well, that's like some Dr. Seuss rhyme. I don't know, that messed with my brain a little. At that time, the smartphone's ringtone rang. Mana dropped the bottle, and Nanako-san caught it from the side with her hand. Mana took out the smartphone from the bag and squinted her eyes, looking at the display. Nanako-san also peeked from the side. There was a cell phone number being displayed. It wasn't registered. It was different from the number they called before. Mana stared at the smartphone as it rang once, then answered the call. Hello? Is this Kurukuru-hime? This is Wedden, and funny trick. We somehow got a hold of your number from a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, Miss Himeno. We wish we did this earlier, but how are things there? Are you safe? Tepsukeme's with us, but she went to scout out and hasn't come back. Knowing her, we won't have to worry, but... Hello? Can you hear me? Mana handed the smartphone to Kurukuru-hime. Okay, so nearly an hour later, well, I guess it's more like a little over 30 minutes later, we have Pukin now. Do I want to try to read the rest of this all in one sitting? Do I want to chance it? You know, we're at page 15. Hold on, let me think really quick. We're at page 15 now. How do I want to do this? And how long have I been recording? 30 minutes. You know what? I'm going to take a quick jump cut, then I'll come back and read the Pukin section and the rest of the section in like an hour or two after I've taken a break. So, give me time to charge the camera back some more, make sure my battery won't go dead as I record the rest of this, and also to work on some other stuff, and to just rest my voice a little. So, yeah, I don't know why I'm saying this right here. So, quick jump cut, then I'll read the rest. Okay, back from that quick jump cut, and yeah, sorry, it's been like 2 days since I recorded that first part, because things didn't work out how I thought they would, so this is kind of going to be a weird delineation, I guess, between two parts of the same video. So I'm not going to discuss too much, like recap or anything, before reading these next 10 pages. So it's basically like you're getting 2 read-throughs in one video for this video, and then the third part of this chapter will be in a second video next week. Because I want to try to get, right now, from pages 15 to 24. If we only get to like 22, I think there's a scene break, that's fine, and we'll have a 16-page video next week. But I'd like to get to 24 and just have like a 14-page video next week. So, yeah, either way, we still got a lot to get through for this video, so thank you for sticking through this far. And one of the only things I did want to bring up before I keep reading is when I made my death predictions way back when, I actually was kind of pretty close with, I feel like, a lot of them. Yeah, I feel like I've been close with a lot of them. The only exception being Malpom, who I thought had a really good chance of survival, and Malpom died. But other than that, basically all of them were right, that Top Pop would just kind of die, thrown away by Pithy, that either Captain Grace or Funny Trick would die, and whichever one didn't die would get a lot of character development because of that. And like most recently here, that either Pukin or Sonia Bean, one of them would die, and it would send the other one on kind of a murderous rampage, which has now happened. And the reason I got thinking about that, because I was thinking about where all the characters were, just to refresh my memory before getting back to reading, and it seems like it's pretty clear now that Toko, Rainbow, and Postery are the bad guys. Basically every other character is like, okay, our goal is just to take them down / escape. But more take them down, because if they just escape, the city's still basically going to get nuked by the Human Resources Division. So they need to take out and capture the assassin so the city doesn't get destroyed. But the only one I think that actually knows that is Nanako-san. So Nanako-san's going to have to convince the rest to work with her to capture them instead of just escaping. In addition to that, Pithy's all on the escape train as well, but it's obvious that she's only doing it for herself. She doesn't actually care about good or anything like that, but she's at least willing to work with the good guys since it benefits her. And Pukin is just on a revenge murder spree, essentially. Whenever she gets back into the fray, she's probably just going to want to kill whoever she feels like going after, because it seems like she kind of blames everybody together for the death of Sonya. She blames Pithy for her incompetence, and the people who actually did it being Rainbow's group, of course, and then also the investigation group, because they played a part in this. So she's probably just going to be after everyone, essentially. But that's where we're starting off, actually. Pukin here on page 15 with 5 hours and 45 minutes remaining, because the last thing we saw was the phone call from Wedden and Funny Trick to Kurukuru Hime, Mana, and Nanako-san. So right now we got Pukin remaining time 5 hours 45 minutes. Only time could quell her anger. To be precise, as time went on, her stomach felt empty, and Pukin's anger calmed. As she recalled her calmed as she recalls her appetite. Anger made her angry. The more she became hungry, the more she calmed her anger. She went to a private shop near the apartment. Bread, chocolate, jerky, Chinese buns, fried chicken, fried potatoes. She picked up everything that didn't need to be cooked. She sliced the rude seller who was yelling at her with a single strike. When she returned to her apartment, she indulged in her meal. Eating alone was wearisome, and it made her aware of losing Sonya. Because she had to use her magical skill, Wedden also ran away. With Top Pop dead, Frederica ran off. It's only Pukin now. She sucked on the chicken bones, chewed them, pulled out the marrow. She also stuffed the bread and chocolate in the back of her throat like a drink without chewing. She gained energy. She needed energy to get angry. She also needed energy in order to act. She took a deep breath as packages and leftovers scattered about. She leaned on the sofa and stroked her nose, reflecting her face on a hand mirror. The beauty of her nose is returned. The ability of a magical girl to repair their body was strong. Bone fractures could heal beautifully without setting them. If she were human, she could die from injuries due to blood loss, but with food and rest, she could recover her body. A magical girl as strong as Pukin has an especially high healing ability, and the time required to self-heal was also very short. Not only physical injuries, but she noticed and was grateful that costume damage was also healed. The fractures, caused by Malpam headbutting her, were repaired, and the bleeding also stopped. But the slash she received from the rainbow hadn't completely closed up. The energy to heal this was still insufficient. Fundamentally, Pukin never really had to think. However, she couldn't do that if she were alone. She had to think of how to express her anger before she acted. Frederica was one of her servants. Negligence couldn't be allowed at all. She had to punish her, but disposal of her servant wasn't a high-priority order. Malpam was the most unforgivable enemy, killing Sonya, making Pukin afraid, and because of that, she ran away without fail. This humiliation had to be cleared. However, she was already killed. Messing with the body was fine, but if that's the case, the priority's fallen deeply. Wedden was the leader of the small fry. For turning their blades against Pukin, they deserved death for their rudeness. Hunting down one rabbit wouldn't lighten her mood. However, small fry were small fry. She could deal with them later. All that's left was the fairy Toko and the rainbow magical girl. Those two were the highest priority. Continuing to fight them at that time would just lead to a bigger wound. She decided at the situation that she had to temporarily retreat. She had pride that none of her judgments were wrong. However, even if it weren't wrong, running away caused humiliation to boil down inside Pukin's heart. Pukin got up from her sofa, turned the sink faucet, and directly drank the water into her mouth. The nutrition she ingested went from her stomach and intestines into her whole body, and her blood circulated vigorously. She took her mouth from the faucet, her hair being showered with the water, and once she was satisfied, she shook off her head to get rid of the water. The mirror in the kitchen was projecting Pukin's figure. That beauty. She was satisfied with our figure emanated a sense of nobility, and placed the waterfowl feather on her hair. Her energy was replenished, and she's also decided the priority on who she'd hurt first. Once the barrier's released, she'd contact the rebels. Until then, she'd do as she wished. Pukin liked fairies. Fairies are the most fun when you torture them. Their bodies are so small that she paid close attention and didn't let them die of blood loss while peeling off their nails, peeling their skin, cutting their bellies. When they knew they'd be encountering a hideous, irreversible scene, more than humans, more than magical girls, a fairy's reaction was the most interesting. The differences of their faces when distorted with pain and their normal faces couldn't be compared to humans, obviously, or even magical girls. Recently, mascot characters have become more diverse. She's heard that there are types that didn't even have physical bodies, too. But why would they need such boring ones? She couldn't understand. The simple and classic types like Toko were the best ones. Back when Pukin was active, she'd even pay to participate in torturing fairies, injuring fairies, slicing up fairies and disassembling them. Really hates fairies! I mean, with Toko I kinda get it, but still. And disassembling them. In order to be able to torment fairies while they were still alive, she studied a fairy's ecology, a fairy's structure, learning it like a student, becoming familiar with it like a scholar. Pukin was far more familiar with fairies than anyone else. Fairies are full of energy. It was the best cure, a tonic, a painkiller. Fairies will cure Pukin's wounds and will give her more power than she has now. In order to both heal her wounds and clear her anger, Pukin needed a fairy. And now some water before we move back to Rainbow. Pukin is fucked up, but we already knew this. Not a surprise. So, now we have Rainbow with 5 hours and 15 minutes remaining, so another 30 minutes ahead. We are really running down the clock in these last few chapters. Rainbow, 5 hours, 15 minutes. She had returned to the apartment for information gathering in the first place. She's eliminated her most threatening enemies and destroyed her enemies' front lines. I also like how we've seen both Rainbow and Pukin go through what their priorities are now. Eliminated her most threatening enemies and destroyed her enemies' front lines. As a result, the danger level inside the city is lowered. Their plan to rejoin with Wedden and figure out how to ensure their safety in the future had suffered a setback, thanks to the fact that Toko, being a rogue, has been exposed to Tepsukeme. Therefore, she needed to gather information. Rainbow's group didn't even know where Toko's status as a rogue had been exposed. It's possible they've been left behind on the city's information network. They discussed taking the policy of remaining hidden until the barrier was removed, while searching for information at the same time, even though the only people discussing were Toko and Rainbow, and they returned to the apartment while keeping an eye for the enemy's appearance. The three of them looked inside the apartment. When Posteri found a smartphone, Rainbow took the smartphone from Posteri. While cowering, Posteri muttered something to Rainbow as if she was blaming her. "Are you sure you should look at it without permission?" "It's fine. Now's not the time and place for manners, right? Now whose phone? Shihabada's. One incoming text. What kind of mail? Let me see. It's nothing. It's from her parents. They're telling her to contact them. Wait a minute. I see how it is. What's up, Rainbow? We can't use magical phones. However, we can use mobile phones." She detransformed, returning to Kaori Ninotsugi. She searched her coat pockets and took out her smartphone. There was a text that arrived on Kaori's smartphone too. This wasn't from her family. Her sister wouldn't even try to restrict her actions recklessly anymore. "I've got a weird text." The sender's name was anonymous. That was obviously suspicious. There was no attached files. The subject was urgent matter. Spam. Looks like it, but I don't know. We can take one look. She opened the message and looked at the text. She instantly knew who the message was from. Okay, now we have the message. Since there was no reaction when I contacted you through your magical phones, I decided to text you here too, Nyan. Someone told me about Malpam's death, Nyan. So, you finally did it, Nyan. I could just pet you, Nyan. You'll be given an extraordinary bonus because of this, Nyan. But that doesn't mean the problems are gone, Nyan. The swordsman, Pukin, and the patchwork girl, Sonyan, who have been released by Pithy Frederica. I heard some radicals in the Foreign Affairs Division, who want to destroy them by any means necessary, Nyan. There's also rumors that they'll launch a weapon of mass destruction, Nyan, for these prisoners, Nyan. I'd like you to kill Puk, Nyan, and Sonyan, so this whole thing doesn't become even more complicated, Nyan. I promise. I'll give you a special bonus just like I did with Malpam, Nyan. We'll give you so much you can play around for 2 lifetimes, Nyan. I'll be counting on you, Nyan. The way it ended, the contents, the fact that they knew Coyote's number. This couldn't be anyone other than her employer. Bonus, that sounds awesome. As always, you just love getting things for yourself, don't you, Toko? Sonya's already taken care of, so all that's left is Pukin, right? Plus, there's that thing about radicals, too. I think it's better to take care of this last thing. Okay. So it's very odd. We have the officials who sent out Malpam's team. We have whoever has, the officials both from three different departments? There's the department that sent Malpam and that's planning to blow the place up, the the Human Resources, or was it Foreign Affairs Division? Whichever one it was. Then there's the actual, I think it's the Foreign Affairs, and then there was the Human Resources Division, which inadvertently sent Nanako-san and Ripple, and so, because they were supposed to meet up. And of course, Flea is obviously the one, by the way they talk and what they've done, Flea is obviously the boss of Nanako-san. And then we've got the investigation division or whatever that sent Mana and Hana to lead this team. So there's those 3, plus there's whoever has been hiring Rainbow, and there's also the rebels that Top Pop was working for and broke the other 3 out of prison. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff with all these people fighting. The way it ended, the contents, the fact they knew about Coyote's number. Okay, we already read all that. Okay, you just want that bonus, don't you, Toko? Ehehe. Don't ehehe me. Honestly. They were forced to change their policy of hiding until the barrier was released. They had to eliminate Pukin. If there was a faction that wanted to interfere even more, they had to eliminate the reason for their interference. Posterie was rubbing her fingers in worry. Now that things are like this, she had to keep Posterie with her until the end. Rainbow slapped Posterie in the back. Don't worry, Tachan. I'll protect you if we ever get into danger. She encouraged her. She wasn't lying. She really was going to protect her properly. Posterie was a useful pawn that she could use as a hostage in times of emergency. Alright, now we're jumping to Wedden at page 20. I guess I'll get a sip of water just to be sure I don't lose my voice. Because I've got to record something after this too, so I'm really worried about losing my voice doing all this. But we have Wedden with 4 hours and another big ol' skip in time. 4 hours 45 minutes remaining with Wedden here. Tepsukeme has returned. Kurukuru Hime and 2 of the investigation team have also come. 6 magical girls on a small observatory made it quite cramped. Reuniting with her students, Kurukuru Hime became so relieved that she cried. Funny Trick was surprised that someone who knew she was who she knew as a teacher would shed tears. I think they think that was a typo. Wedden knew one reason for her tears and brought her eyebrows closer together. Frederica's group were undeniably real criminals. Even the highly calculative, selfish Wedden felt righteous indignation at them. This time, rather than just a sense of indignation, she also had a sense of guilt. Being controlled by Pukin, Wedden was also there outside of Kurukuru Hime's house. Just recalling it made her want to vomit. She didn't know what the investigation team was like. However, if they were against Frederica's group, they had to be better than Frederica's group. The rabbit that likes to play dumb, the ninja with exceptional skills but who avoided killing her on the roof, They both worked inside rules that she could understand. She should cooperate with them rather than Frederica's group who operated on rules she didn't understand. The two members of the investigation team were a girl wearing a boy's school uniform, Nanako-san, and a girl wearing a pointy witch hat, Mana. Mana was something like a mage, and the goggles that Nanako-san wore are a characteristic of battle heroine characters. Both were far from Wedden's image of a magical girl, be it Nanako-san, who always seemed to look absent-mindedly worried, or Mana, who always seemed to be chewing on pills every 5 minutes. They looked shady and unreliable. However, they had to be better than Pukin and Frederica. The investigation team came into the city to catch a killer who's killed an official of the Land of Magic. They explained that the killer is Toko's partner, and that lined up with what Frederica said before. Everyone shared the information they had with each other. One of our friends, Captain Grace, was killed by Sonia. Once she said those words out loud, she regretted it. She should have at least chosen better words to convey it. If Kurihime looked this way with her eyes wide open, her tears aren't dry yet. She didn't know that Captain Grace had died. Should she comfort her? Funny Trick continued speaking before she could, even though she's still not over the shock of Grace's death. The assassin is a magical girl called Rainbow. I guess Tepsukeme over there got her body sliced up by Rainbow. Posteri made May's lamp fly. So, this Posteri girl, would it be safe to assume that she's an assassin as well? I don't know if those two always acted as one, or if she's being threatened, but it's true that they're working together right now. Rainbow can make rainbow bridges, and Posteri can grow wings on objects and use magic that can return them to their owners. Oh, that's the girl who made the van fly to us. She did something like that, huh? We should be prepared to dodge in case our desks and lockers come flying at us. May's lamp is pretty. I love May so much. Maybe because Pukin and her cronies are running rampant, but there are rumors in the city about a group of cosplay killers. I heard that because of that, they're running out of police cars to investigate dead bodies, and hospitals are full of injured people, preventing regular business operations. They're also asking eyewitnesses to report anyone in costumes like that. By the way, Frederica contacted us. It seems she's abandoned Pukin and that they've split up. She said she's willing to cooperate if her crystal ball were returned to her, but who has it? Oh yeah, I have it. I stole it when I escaped. So, how do we play this? Do we want to cooperate? When they heard Mana, Funny Trick, and Kurihime hung their heads. If possible, I don't want to. Me neither. Wedden was the same. She didn't want to see her face again, even if it's just for an hour. She didn't ever want to call her an ally. I also dislike this. I don't want to see her face ever again. May is fine either way. Besides, giving her crystal ball back is out of the question. Giving her crystal ball is like giving up a hostage, isn't it? But she could get us out of the barrier with her crystal ball, so what should we do? Well, yes, but we'll be fine even if we don't borrow Frederica's powers. We've already confirmed that Funny Trick can also use her powers to get us out of the barrier. She can't really make herself go out, so we can't escape together, but once someone's outside, we can bring someone back to help, right? Then, at least for now, we can go to the outside of town and find support, but I also want to make sure ordinary citizens are safe. We've lost most of our combat personnel, so we can't act ourselves, so we can't protect them. We should focus our power on our fighting capabilities. Regardless, if we reach the barrier's time limit, since Malpom was killed, I think it'd be hard to ask for support too. When she wondered just who these ordinary citizens would be, she realized that they themselves were ordinary citizens. She sighed. They haven't even been magical girls for a day, and they've already forgotten that they're just civilians. That was a really good section. I liked all of that. I like that they're all together now, too. But now we're moving on to page 20, or we go into page 23 with Pithy's point of view then. It sucks that I'm going to have to stop reading. I'm really excited now that we're close to the end of this. I just want to read the rest. So I might start recording some of the rest ahead of time if I have time to. But either way, moving along, we have Pithy Frederica with 4 hours 45 minutes left, so about the same time. She looked at her cell phone. She messed with it. She turned it. She waited, but there was no contact. She knew that wanting her crystal ball returned would threaten her opponent's safety, She had originally wanted to make a difficult request at the beginning and start negotiations from there, but it'd probably fail because they would have hated her more than she thought. She didn't think she was a magical girl that was loved, but this kind of hatred was probably beyond a cockroach or a sewer rat. The one that killed Kurukuru Hime's father was Pukin, the one that killed Captain Grace was Sonia Bean, the one that controlled Wedden was Pukin, the one that took charge of the operation was Top Pop. But no one was left who could consider that anymore. There were no soldiers, nor were there any companions. There were only enemies. Isn't this a fun situation befitting of a protagonist? Resting underneath a blue vinyl sheet atop a business building's rooftop, the situation was closer to an outcast than a protagonist. She was stuck. She either had to somehow make up with Pukin or lower her head towards the investigation team, asking for their cooperation and that she didn't need her crystal ball. Since she had neither her crystal ball nor any backup support, acting on her own would be difficult. Then she heard the bird of the cell phone vibrating. Did they decide to negotiate? She thought, but when she saw the screen it was a number she didn't recognize. Was this a phone call to the cell phone's original owner? She was disappointed. She still decided to pick up for a moment. "Are you Pithy Frederica?" A shrill voice called out her name. Frederica placed her middle finger in her forehead. Was it synthetic? Was it a voice changer? She wondered if this was a cyber fairy type person who called. "Yes, this is Pithy Frederica. Who are you?" "Your ally." Who was this? Why did they know this phone number? And this might be whoever was Top Pop's boss, maybe, or was Top Pop the leader of the rebellion. Either way, it might be somebody with the rebellion. Who was this? Why did they know this phone number? This was a whispering mystery voice who omitted everything, saying they were her ally. How suspicious. Frederica liked it. "Now, I will tell you what you should do, where you should go, and how you should conduct yourself. I will tell you the right path. Are you Top Pop's sponsor? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. If they were a patron of the rebels, they could give orders more directly." Okay, sorry, just think of that through. If they were a patron of the rebels, they could give orders more directly. They had that right. Furthermore, Frederica didn't know how they got a hold of this cell phone's phone number. This cell phone was something that she stole just a while ago from a bystander. How'd they know about her circumstances? Was this patron an eccentric who liked to play around with others? If so, she understood. Frederica liked eccentrics who liked to play around with others. "Well, I'm quite stuck on where to go myself. I don't have a lot of choices, do I?" "Are you ready? You need to hurry." "Not so fast. I'm still trembling with joy that I've made a new friend." She was going to be used. She didn't have the option to refuse because she's stuck in this situation. Even if I'm going to be used, this should be interesting, her mind thought. "So, do I have to follow you forever?" "I never said forever. I only want to cooperate with you for a while." Besides, the people who refuse you will surely become your closest friends." Okay, now sadly we're ending here, but this also means we have 14 pages for next week, and this video, so next week's video is probably going to be at least 30 minutes, and this one's going to be damn near an hour, wow. Okay, but this chapter is really, really good so far, one of the best ones. So I'm excited. We have the rest of this chapter, then just one more. Then I get to do a favorite characters video, which I'm excited to do. Then my reactions for the next arc's designs, and then we get to read a new arc. So I'm really, really excited. And is that it? I guess it is. I guess that's it. So either way, yeah, if you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of this chapter, what you thought of my first thoughts and reactions. I absolutely friggin' loved it. I like that we have our group together now. And also the development for the other characters that aren't part of the main group. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe for more. Magical Girl Raising Project, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there on stuff for the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server to, yeah, I thought I forgot something. If you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us there, just ask and I'll give you a link. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.